Hello everyone, I am Kiran Joshi. Hope you all are safe and sound. Children, here I am presenting the first video of class 6 civics chapter 4 key elements of a democratic government. Children, in the third chapter we learnt the meaning and types of government. Now in the present chapter, that is chapter 4 key elements of a democratic government, we'll try to understand that how the various elements influence the working of a democratic government. The chapter begins with the South Africa's example, which was earlier governed by apartheid laws. Children, apartheid means separation on the basis of race. Actually, children, South Africa has people of several races. There are people whose skin color is black and who belong to South Africa. There are whites who came there to settle. And there are Indians and colored races who came as laborers and traders. According to the apartheid laws, these races were not allowed to mingle with each other. They were not allowed to live near each other or even to use common facilities. In South Africa, under apartheid government, trains, buses, bus stops, even the hospitals and ambulances were separate for whites and non-whites. And there was great difference in the standard and condition of all such facilities. The facilities meant for whites were well maintained, while those for black people or non-whites were not. Not only that, but the non-whites even did not have right to vote. They had to live on the worst available land, as the best land was meant and reserved for the white people. In this way, in South Africa, the policy of separation was followed, and the blacks and colored people were not considered to be equal to whites. As I mentioned earlier, that there were separate places to live for whites and non-whites. So children, one such place for blacks was the southwestern township, which was called Soweto in short. As you can see here in the picture, a boy named Hector Pieterson lived in that township, that is Soweto. He, along with his classmates, had joined a protest against learning the Afrikaans language in school. Dear students, Afrikaans was the language spoken by the whites, and uh, Hector, along with the other students, were forced to learn Afrikaans, but they wanted to learn Zulu, which was their own language. The protesters were beaten badly by the African police, and police even shot at the gathered protesters. Hector Pieterson was killed in this firing on 16th June 1976. So this protest against apartheid law continued, and a group of people named the African National Congress led the struggle against this apartheid system. The most prominent leader of the African National Congress was Nelson Mandela, who fought against the apartheid system for many years and had to be imprisoned for a long time for this cause. Ultimately, in 1994, South Africa became a democracy where people of all races were considered equal. I am sure that you all would agree that it is important for all persons to be treated equally. Why? Because equality is one of the key elements of a democracy or a democratic government, along with some other important key elements, which are people's participation, resolution of conflict, and justice. Let's learn about the people's participation in a democratic government. How do the people participate in a democratic government? Children, in a democracy, people participate in decision making, and they do this through the voting in elections. By casting their votes in elections, people elect their representatives, and these representatives take decisions on behalf of the people. It is believed that these representatives would take care of people's needs, desires, interests while making decisions. Through the elections, the governments are formed and they are elected for a fixed period of time. Like in India, the government are formed for 5 years, and if they wish to govern further, they need to be re-elected by the people in the next election. Thus, through the regular election, people get the power to participate in the process of government. If the people are not satisfied with the functioning of the government, they have the power to change their decision in the next election by electing some other leaders as their representatives. And therefore, regular elections also check and limit the power of the government. So, children, by casting their votes and electing their representatives, people participate in a democratic government. But this happens once in 5 years. How can the people participate the other times? For that, there are other ways through which people can participate in the process of the government. And these ways are by taking an interest in the working of the government and by criticizing it when required or needed. Children, you may think or have question, how do people do it? So here is one example to make you understand. Children, in 2005, the charges for electricity were increased by a particular government. It meant that people had to pay more for electricity consumption. To show their disapproval to the government about this decision, people organized rallies and signature campaign. All attempts of the government to explain and justify its decision were failed, and finally the government had to withdraw or take back the increase. The government did this because the government is responsible and answerable to the people. By now, you must have understood that people have the power to make the government realize about their desires and aspirations and to express their views. They make the government understand what actions they should take, and they do it through various ways such as dharnas, rallies, strikes, signature campaigns, etc. Sometimes there are decisions that go against the interests of the people. Uh, they also need to be brought forward. The government's issues and responsibilities are also discussed through different forums such as television, radio, newspaper, magazines, etc. So, children, so far we have learnt that people participate in the working of a democratic government, but you should always remember that all sections of the society, such as minority communities, dalits, adivasis, women, and others, are actually not able to do so. The way for them to participate is by organizing themselves into social movements. These social movements try to challenge the government and its working or functioning. It is required that the people of a country are alert and aware so that the democratic government of a country is strong. Therefore, as citizens, it is the responsibility of everyone to be aware of what is happening in his or her surroundings and what are the actions of the government for various issues. The other key elements of a democratic government will be covered in the second and the last video of this chapter. Till then, try to solve these questions. First question, South Africa is a country of several races. How? Second question, list 5 ways in which the non-whites in South Africa were discriminated against. Third question, why do we have regular elections? Fourth question, what are the various ways in which people participate in the process of government? Children, if you found this video helpful and wish to watch more of such content, do consider subscribing to the channel. Also, if you have any queries or comments, please post them in the comment section below. Thank you.